some of these things are inside jokes just to myself.
Once the session starts, you're to call me Mistress Florence.
Really? Florence is my mother's name.
My mother's name is Florence, and my mother couldn't be a kinder, sweeter woman.
I want you naked, lying face down with your ass in the air.
I don't do a lot of autobiographical things in the show. Everything's made up, though things are emotionally autobiographical. This whole thing is fictional. I used to teach for many years, and I was always teaching night school to adults. Everyone was very emotionally disturbed, in a good way though, and I was an emotionally disturbed teacher. It was one big therapy session with some writing going on. So he has my name, he teaches, he has a small penis, but after that, this is completely made up.
Well, okay.
He acts out some of my fantasies. I would like to be a hero. I want to come down fire escapes and run through the streets. I want shadows to jump out at me. Jason does these things for me and does them beautifully.
So how can I help you, Officer Drake?
It's embarrassing.
Officer Drake is into forced feminization.
When I was 8 years old, my older sister and a couple of her friends, they dressed me up in a Girl Scout uniform.
To be frank, my sister put me in a Girl Scout uniform at a young age on Halloween.
They said that I was a pretty little girl, and they did something to me.
Earlier in my life, I did seek out a dominatrix, and all she did was smoke at me, a cigarette. I was like, I'm paying money for secondhand smoke. It was very boring, and that kind of cured me of it. I was like, forced feminization is dull, at least as I experienced it.
I'd like to make a collect call.
One of my favorite moments in episode 1 is when Ray says his eyes have been painted black, that he's feeling very lachrymose, which means that he's feeling very teary.
Leah broke up with me. I'm very lachrymose.
One time my father put his arms around me and said that he was feeling very lachrymose, and it made a deep impression on me.
To your first class.
One of the beautiful things about our show is the actors have formed a friendship. Not unlike the friendship that you see on screen.
You show up like this, dressed in a S&M snorkeling outfit?
That was improvised. I think it was something George takes Jonathan down the hallway, and they just naturally held hands. These guys get along beautifully. And the whole episode is really to get to this moment of tenderness and friendship between the two of them.
I think Leah broke up with Ray.
What? Oh.
Hey, did you make an appointment at the urologist?
No, not yet. I totally went nuts, penis-wise, in episode 2.
It was like an elephant tusk.
A couple of times I woke up in the middle of the night going, oh my God, this episode is loaded with so many penis jokes.
You don't have a small penis, do you?
I could have spread out those penis jokes over 8 episodes, but I put most of them into one episode. Maybe I just wanted to get it all over with, all the penis humor in one episode.
Is that really necessary?
Sometimes.
For some reason, I had this image of Ted with his feet up like this in stirrups, and a gynecological chair, and receiving a prostate exam. The beauty of that scene is how erotic and sexy it becomes.
How does that feel?
Comforting.
I've been looking at it all morning and I can't even see it. It's like I'm on top of the Empire State Building and my penis is an ant.
I gave Jonathan the concern that his penis was small because, well, I've had that concern.
Can you please look at my penis and tell me I'm an adult male?
No, what are you, nuts?
Come on.
And Ray's got this fixation that he's got a huge one.
Look at this. Oh my God, what is that?
And they balance each other out, penis-wise, like a seesaw.
Not everybody in New York is Jewish, you know.
I thought it was such a penis episode that I then threw my own penis into the mix. To make art, you have to take risks. And there's a fine line between taking risks and self-destruction, you know? And me getting naked veers very close to self-destruction. I mean, it's nuts. It's nuts. It was a nutty thing for me to do. Luckily, I'm gone in an instant. It's so small you can't even see it.
You have a small cock. Because I'm frightened.
Obviously, I had my Hitchcockian cameo. There was a couple of early images that came to me preparing for the second season. I had noticed as a young boy in the 70s that when guys were running in stressful situations that they would serpentine.
Why are you running like that? That's what we used to do in Connecticut.
I loved it when John Belushi in Animal House would go, like that, you know, when he was like racing across the lawn. And so I kind of wanted to recreate these things visually that were very funny and very important to me. Another very early image that I wanted was Jonathan being dangled over the Gowanus Canal by his ankles.
Oh my God! Is that the Gowanus? The Gowanus has gonorrhea! Don't drop me! Don't drop me!
When I jog near the Gowanus Canal, which is not a good idea, probably because the fumes are probably undoing any health benefits. And then I read the Gowanus Canal had gonorrhea.
Does it really have gonorrhea? Oh yeah.
I thought, my God, this body of water that I run next to is just, you know, rife with STDs. And what if I fell in there? You know, and what if you were faithful to someone and you fell in the Gowanus Canal? I mean, what are you gonna say?
Is everything all right? I mean, no STDs? Somehow I have managed throughout the years not to get herpes.
I love working with Ted because he has an incredibly radiant spirit.
Hold this for a second. Let me just.
George!
I dream about Ted a lot now. Instead of I dream about Jeannie, I dream about Ted.
Write it down, okay?
He's the father of the show. And he's a dream father because he's completely flawed and he wants to smoke pot with you.
We're Americans. We own a dungeon and we deal drugs.
Really? What kind of drugs?
Shut up, Dukakis. Let's kill one of them. Let's kill this one from Lord of the Rings. Oh, God!
The thugs are very dear to me. I wrote the role of Jim for Jim Norton. That's why I called the character unimaginatively Jim. One of the highlights of the season for me was Jim Norton's Oscar Wilde speech.
Now, I've done some time, which is probably why I relate so well to him.
Don't bring up that Oscar Wilde crap again. Can't take it.
This speech echoes a speech I had a character make in one of my novels.
My love doesn't even have a name.
I plagiarize myself once in a while. I would like to sue myself for defamation of character, especially now that I'm making money. It's a good idea. Note to self. All the characters, for me, have mythical components. Jonathan is the innocent quester, a knight in training. Ray is an artisan. He's a craftsman.
Did you read my comic book?
I haven't had the chance.
And he's got deep, hidden feelings.
Yeah, okay.
Come on.
And George is a sensualist. George is vitality itself. He's kind of like a wizard-like god where he should zap someone, and he realizes he zapped the wrong person, you know? The diagnosis I most fear is DOA, dead on arrival. I don't know. I mean, I don't want to die.
You're not dying. You're gonna be okay.
It was very important to me, George's speech about not wanting to die, about not wanting to be turned off.
It just seems so unfair that we can be turned off like a switch, like we never lived, like we never mattered.
And I thought Ted was incredible in that whole scene.
I blame myself for this prostate cancer.
It was beautifully shot. We put him in the window. It was very Hamlet-like. For me, this was like our Hamlet moment in a comedy. She's absolutely fearless.
What's your name?
Trouble.
I write in the script that she goes down on Ray's beard.
I don't like that.
And she went down on his beard. I mean, she was in his beard, licking it, chewing it, pulling hairs out with her mouth. She is just fearless. She's like someone in a therapy group and you're supposed to work on a trust exercise and they just let go. I mean, that's what she does in front of the camera. I used the word nincompoop. I really don't know why.
I can't get 42 down. Can you help me?
Nincompoop.
Nincompoop.
I think some words are just funny to me.
I had the poop part, but not the nincom.
Backwards, nincompoop is poop ak min. Just for those of you who speak backwards out there in the internet. Internet backwards is internet, tet renni. I'm not doing so well today. Today is Yadot. Zach will sort of give off the impression that he's not trying, but he actually really thinks a lot about what he's going to do.
I never dream. I smoke pot right before I go to bed, and it shuts down the dream side of my brain.
He'll play it very sensitive. Then other times, he'll be incredibly harsh.
It's not me, it's you.
No, that's backwards. You say it's not you, it's me, to someone.
Right.
And he always surprises me with what he comes up with in a scene.
Well, I'm really not fat. I mean, I see myself as stocky or portly. I'm just kind of washboardy.
When you meet Kevin Bacon, you understand why some people are movie stars. You know, the guy has an innate charisma.
I didn't know you could get oral chlamydia. I've only had it the normal way.
He's like the wind, you know what I mean? Some people do seem like forces of nature. He expressed an interest in being in the show, and I met with him and kind of came up with this opportunity to use him in this way.
I have a new alter ego, Kevin Bacon.
Now that we're talking about him, I kind of miss him.
Excuse me?
And I wish we'd become friends. You know, just because you work with someone, you don't get to be friends. But I wish I could be friends with him. I mean, I wish I could have a cup of coffee with him like right now. I mean, you know, you just want to be around people. That's why they're movie stars, because you want to go in the theater and be like, oh, I want to be around him, you know? So he has that quality.
So you want to buy me a drink?
Yeah. But listen, can we get out of Brooklyn? It's just not as cool as I thought it was going to be.
Something we reprised from the first season is the ubiquity of strollers and babies in Brooklyn.
Oh my God, you just spilled coffee on my baby!
Brooklyn is like a third world country. I mean, there are a lot of children, which is a good thing. Because I did see some children down that playground, and I thought they are happier than adults. They just are happier. Other than going to school, they have a good life.
Don't tell me how my child is doing!
Can I get another refill, please?
You Jewish?
Yes.
Good. Steady income is nice.
I once performed in a play with Olympia Dukakis, and when I wrote this role, I thought of her for it, and I can't believe we got her. I mean, she won an Oscar.
That's what I liked when I was young. You feel a man's weight.
She's a bit flirty with Ray.
Helps you forget your troubles.
She and Ray make eye contact, and Zach just kind of ran with it, and they have a real chemistry, which, you know, was just fantastic.
That's right.
Zach always puts his finger out when he drinks beer. He loves to put his finger out, and so he just looks wonderfully funny sipping his coffee like that.
Where can we find this Nevin Street dog man?
I specifically wanted a French bulldog for the character of Little Ray because Jason Schwartzman has a French bulldog, and in fact, Jason's French bulldog has a cameo. When Jason asks a French bulldog if he knows Little Ray when he shows him the flyer, that's Jason's dog who would often come to the set.
That is one ugly pooch. That scrunched face, he looks like an alien.
I love Jason's dog, whose name is Arrow, and we couldn't cast Arrow because Arrow had a disc problem once, and I thought he might not be able to run that well. So we found another French bulldog who was great, knew all his lines, showed up on time, didn't give any problems in hair and makeup. He was really an excellent actor, and I hope he gets an Emmy nomination. I love dogs. I feel in a former life, if I've had one, that I may have been a dog. Like, I love to run through the surf like a dog, you know, and I love to wrestle dogs. I'm not into sniffing butts, but everything else dog-like I do enjoy.
Look at the dog version of a son. His mother is the woman that I love, and we have the same name.
Generally, what I try to do is speak universally. I try to speak to the love of dogs, men's insecurity about having small penises. I guess that would be about it. Those are the two universal messages that I've tried to get across this season, that people love dogs and men feel that their penises are small. George just wants to live all the time.
I want to try everything. I want to be insane like Klaus Kinski.
In season 1, when he hired a male prostitute, the male prostitute told him to read Klaus Kinski's autobiography.
I want to live in Stockholm in the winter because I've fallen in love.
I felt that was an example that he's so in love that he would live in Stockholm in the wintertime, and suicide rates are very high in Stockholm in the winter.
I want to be a eunuch in the harem of an Arab prince.
I think I would like, I wouldn't mind having a harem. I think, it would be fun, if you could, but we'll never have a harem, but maybe I could be a eunuch in the harem of an Arab prince, which is why I kind of like the locker room scene. I mean, it's every guy's dream come true. Running through a women's locker room, that George, it's like, oh, that's wonderful. I mean, George is just a great sensualist. I named the character he because I wanted to play around with the old routine of who's on first, what's on second.
So he is a he, but also a she?
Yes.
Got it.
So that's why I named him he. And so he is a him who is dressed as a she.
I was told you have a letter for Hicho. Why are you dressed like that?
The actor who played he, Jake, was incredible in his transformation. And going from this very serious boy in his first scene to this almost film noir femme fatale.
I need to speak with you. He?
She was very beautiful. It was very confusing. I would talk to he, and I felt I was talking to a woman.
I never thought I would be in a graveyard in a spa robe, talking to a beautiful transvestite in the moonlight.
It's romantic.
These things with gender, when you cross your fingers and you rub like that and you can't tell which finger you're touching? I felt that with this Jake. Nina, played by Zoe Kazan, has a fantasy of being spanked and chastised in a classroom because at the very impressionable age of 13, she read the story of O, which is, a classic tale of S&M. I had read in a book that if a person has a deep sexual fetish, part of the draw is complete indulgence and giving over of yourself.
Harder.
And I think there's a certain freedom in that.
Very bad at that.
What we might label as perversions feel freeing because most of us can't stand ourselves.
Right,
And a lot of times this expresses itself erotically, like in spanking, or like watching a TV show like Bored to Death. You're freed from yourself momentarily. I play Erwin, Ray's stalker, who had been Leah's lover in episode 2, and he was a very nice guy, but he got arrested for indecent exposure, got thrown in Rikers. The whole backstory is that he has a gluten allergy and he's kosher, but in Rikers, the only thing he could eat was bread, and so he went nuts from eating too much gluten, which I found out can make someone go nuts. Gluten can drive you insane. All this got cut from the script.
Why'd you do that?
Because of you, I spent 2 months in Rikers, and I lost my rent-controlled apartment.
And so he stalks Ray, and then I had him stab him with an X-Acto knife from behind because for some reason I was a bit obsessed with Monica Seles getting stabbed in a tennis match.
I'll apply pressure with my handkerchief.
I wanted Ray stabbed from behind like Monica Seles. Now, no one will ever realize this except I'm saying this now. And I made it an X-Acto knife because I have a fear of X-Acto knives.
Oh no, an X-Acto knife.
They frighten me. I'm not very good mechanically. I'm all right with sports, but put me near a tool and I'm very likely to hurt myself. Jason and I did some of our own stunts. I really got tackled by a stuntman and I got thrown to the ground. We jumped off this platform on a roof.
He killed himself.
People tried to talk me out of it, but I wanted to do it. Again, in the same way that Jonathan, the Jonathan character, acts out some of my fantasies, I wanted to literally act out my fantasy of being an actor who would do his own stunts. I like to take risks. I guess part of me, I'm hoping to be hurt, but I wasn't. You know what I mean? That's why once I had knives thrown at me. I think secretly I was hoping one of them would hit me in the thigh. I wouldn't want to be killed, but I might want to be injured and have to ride in an ambulance. I'm not proud of these fantasies. You know what I mean? And I don't suggest that other people, have knives thrown at them. There was so much penis humor in the show that we needed a vagina.
He gave Super Ray a beautiful vagina.
I wanted to make it very clear that this was a beautiful vagina. And Ray is just upset because Super Ray gets his powers from an enormous penis and a vagina's put there. I worked closely through email, if you can say that, with the person who created the puppet.
Your stalker's a really talented seamstress.
First there was too much pubes, and so I sent an email, please lessen the pubes. Also, anatomically, it was a bit odd at first, and so I gave instructions. Not that I'm an expert.
You think that this guy could make me one?
The Super Ray doll appeals to Officer Drake because of his forced feminization issues. I hope people understand that.
You know I have issues. Sorry.
He wants a police doll with a vagina because of his whole thing from his sister having dressed him as a Girl Scout. I hope it doesn't offend anyone. I never want to offend anyone unless they find it amusing to be offended. In summation, I hope people get a kick out of the show. I hope they laugh. I hope they feel entertained. We had a lot of fun making it, laughing a lot on set.
Pinch me.
And so that's the meaning of life. What, you guys didn't hear that? Oh, no, oh, and I've forgotten it. Ah.